Tonight we're going to be covering the Wilson Lakemen traveling all the way down here to play the Alden Bulldogs. My name is Tyler Gilbert. To the right of me and Leon Thompson. And it's been 8 days since the people have last seen us. And man, has it been a crazy 8 days. What did you see week one that makes you excited this year?
I'm going to start off with what might be the obvious. Lackawanna taking down Newport 60-0. That was a very stout defense on their part, holding Newport to negative 22 total yards of offense. They showed their dominance early. They showed they came to play and want to put that playoff loss from last year behind them.
The Will North Spartans taught us that our rankings aren't always right, knocking off number 14 ranked Lockport Lions 28-0 for their home opener. And man, that Will North team is stacked with some studs named Dakari Norman, Kadon Donovan, A.J. Weisenberg at the quarterback position, Cal Rogers, the sophomore running back. That Will North Spartans team is going to be a problem this year, and they taught us that week one.
Any given week, right?
Absolutely.
Any given week, any given game. You never know what you're going to see.
And then talking about the Wilson Lakemen, they traveled to their rival Newfane Panthers last week, and the Newfane Panthers showed up and handled their business 24-13 with a dominant victory, winning the Battle of Route 18.
And we will see them here again tonight to see how they respond to that in our game. Very, very excited to see what their response is going to be. You know, you never want to drop a game week one, especially to a rival. You have a very powerful team up here in Alden tonight. Very excited to see how this one's going to go.
Absolutely. And we were already at a game this week, yesterday, matter of fact, where we watched the West Seneca West Warhawks take on the McKinley Macs. And that game was a defensive battle, and you're the defensive guy, Leon, so talk about it.
I've never seen a halftime score of 2-0. We're just going to start right there. West Seneca West put up a very good fight on both sides of the ball. Ultimately, McKinley's powerful offense ended up being the staple of that game, winning it for them 16-11, which is a score I didn't think that I would say all that often.
No, I didn't think that either, but that McKinley offense finally got going in that game. It was the end of the third, headed into the fourth, and man, they finally got their playmakers going. Tyrone Hughes, Cardell Staples had 47 receiving yards on 2 catches on that drive and for the game. I mean, and then that McKinley defense, Cardell Staples was just everywhere for them. He ended up getting a pick that I believe led to that 6-minute drive, if memory serves me correct.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. It was very exciting to see both offenses finally get going in the fourth quarter, and that's really what we were saying all game for that one as we were there. It was going to be whichever offense got it going was going to win that game. We got late games fireworks from both of them to make it an exciting game for everybody.
We sure did, and hopefully tonight's game is more of the same. I mean, we have 2 teams that love to run the football between Coach Buno of the Alden Bulldogs and Coach Bill Atlas of the Wilson Lakemen. And I mean, the respect that Coach Buno showed us when we asked him about the Wilson Lakemen to Coach Atlas. It's like new school versus the old school.
I was just about to bring that up, actually. That was one of my big points for this game tonight. Before we even get to the players, before we even get to the matchups, these 2 coaches, you know, Alden's coach, Coach Buno, has been looking up to Coach Atlas for years, and our interview with him earlier called him a Western New York legend in coaching. Both very similarly run offenses, and I'm very excited to see if the old school beats the new school or vice versa.
So one thing to watch for tonight is Wilson's 2-quarterback system, and I guess you could even say Alden's 2-quarterback system. You have Vic Cusadis and you have Colton Frericks for the Wilson Lakemen. Both of them are a little bit different. Frericks is more of your drop-back guy. He's going to be your traditional pass. And then you have Vic Cusadis, who he's a scrambler, and he's a gutsy guy. He does not care if he gets hit. He wants to make the play. And then you go over to Alden, you got the same idea. Mason Urso. He could run the ball. He could throw the ball. And then you got Nick Whippy, who's just a big guy. You know, he's about 6'2", 200, and that's maybe being a little generous. He might be up there in 215, 220 range, and he could run through you. And he led all the Bulldogs in rushing last week. And they got Ben Partel. So if they could get that double-headed monster going, man, it's going to be a great game for the Bulldogs. But the Wilson Lakemen have Mike Rubles.
That's true. Mike Rubel really had a great showing in his game that we saw last week. He was a very powerful runner, you know, was able to expose some spots in the Newfane defense, and that was a Newfane defense that didn't give up many. So very impressive showing for him. Let's talk about these defenses. I want to start with Alden's defense, their anchor right there in the middle of that defensive line, Robbie Westmiller. He is a very impactful player for these Alden Bulldogs on both sides of the ball. He uses his size very well. He has some surprising speed for that size that he also uses very well. He's really fun to watch, which isn't something you hear every day for an interior lineman on both sides of the ball. So I'm looking out for number 70 this week.
You know, I'm looking out for 37 in white. Give me Brock Lepsch as my player to watch tonight. He's a junior, and man, as a sophomore last year, he killed it, and he killed it last week too. All over the field, sideline to sideline. That kid is where he needs to be. Sometimes he's where he's not needs to be, but he still makes the play. Brock Lepsch is an absolute gamer, and I cannot wait to see 37 on the field tonight.
Yeah, very intelligent football IQ from Brock Lepsch. You could even see that last week in a losing effort. You know, like you said, just where he needs to be at all times. And you know what? He is another one of those see ball, get ball kids. You know, he's not going to let that trash or anything like pulling or, motion or anything like that pull him away from his focus. He is looking for that ball. He is going to get that ball.
Absolutely. And we got one more game to talk about that we're going to be at this week, and that's the Lancaster Legends traveling to take on the Lockport Lions, both teams that dropped the game last week. Both teams that are not very happy about it. You know, Lancaster lost a heartbreaker in double overtime to Powerhouse over there in Section 5, McQuaid. And then you had Lockport come in. They had all the hype, ranked number 14. And, man, did those Will North Spartans get a hold of them. So, Leon, what are you looking for from the Lockport defense to slow down that Lancaster offense?
The Lockport defense just have to use what they have at their disposal, and that is their speed end to end. They have a lot of talent to get to the ball very quickly. They just have to clean up a few things that I think will help them out this week versus last week. And to be honest with you, as far as both teams go, I'm just kind of excited to see two angry teams go at it. You know, two very different losses, but two heartbreaking losses all the same. You know, people are starting to write Lockport off for going down to Will North 28-0. I don't think that they're going to take that laying down, and Lancaster does not want to lose another game close, so I think they're going to do everything that they can to prevent that and try to blow them out of the water down in Lockport tomorrow afternoon.
You know, I think that Lockport offense has to get going. That Lancaster offense did get going, right? They had over 240 passing yards in a rain game, and we were there, man. We were soaked. So the fact that Alex Krupa is grabbing that ball and spinning it in the rain, imagine what he could do in a clear weather game. And in order to keep up with that, the Lockport Lions have to get Graham Schultz, Trey Thompson, and Kwan Davis going. They have to, or it's going to be a long day for the Lockport Lions.
I think this one does come down to the offenses. I think you're right. Now, that being said, when we're talking about games and what we think is going to happen, we've got some game predictions to get through tonight.
We absolutely do. And let's start with the Saturday game. Lancaster at Lockport. Leon, who do you got?
God, you know, like I said, I think we're going to be seeing two very angry teams go at it when you have that emotional component from them losing both of them in the way that they did respectively. I don't think I really know what's going to happen, to be completely honest with you. I think this one can get a split down the middle as many times as you can simulate it or watch it. If I do have to pick, though, I think that Lancaster's got a little more juice. You know, they kept up with a powerhouse team in Section 5 like McQuaid. I think that they are going to be able to take good things from that game. Like you said, their offense got going. Their defense had a very strong showing for the majority of the game. And I just think that they're going to take the good things that they did in that game and put it together with the emotion that they have from losing the game that they did things very well in. I think Lancaster is going to be taking this one from Lockport, but I think it's going to be a close one. I got it going 34-30 Lancaster.
I agree with you on the prediction, but maybe not so much the score. And we can sit here and talk about all we want. I got Lancaster a little bit more easier than that. I think Alex Krupa is one of the top 5 arm talents in Western New York. I mean, you saw it. Grabbing that wet, slick ball there at Lancaster on Foyle Clink Field, and he was just slinging it around the yard. And he's got great weapons at his disposal. John Gang, Blake Minsterman, both went over 50 receiving yards. Both had a receiving touchdown. I think Lancaster gets a hold of the Lockport Lions. I got it 34-17.
All right. As for tonight, I'm going to let you go first with this one. We got the Wilson Lakemen, who we've already seen, put up a great effort, showed great flashes and moments, and a key rivalry game taking the loss. Alden's on the other end of the spectrum tonight, coming off of a big win in their Week 1 game. Who do you got?
I'm going to take over with you a little bit, Mr. Trench Trophy. This game comes down to the trenches. And when you ask me who's got the better offensive line, I'm going with the Alden Bulldogs. They got Robbie Westmiller, John Cook, and Lucas Nagel. They got some big boys up there who can move the pile. They can move anybody that's in their way, and they can make room for their running backs. You know, Hamza, we see him here tonight. He seems to be in street clothes. I don't think he's gearing up for the Lakemen, which is a huge loss for Bill Atlas and the Wilson Lakemen. And I'm going to go with the Alden Bulldogs, little Lee Corso action. Give me the headgear. I got the Bulldogs. How about you, Leon?
You know what? You went through all the effort to get the helmet on. I think I got to go with the Bulldogs in this one, too, and it's going to be for a lot of the same reason. You know, I think the Wilson Lakemen did learn a lot about themselves last week. I will give them all the credit in the world. I think that these guys, you know, without Hamza on their offensive and defensive fronts, learned a lot this week in practice about how to play. You know, without having that key rotational piece, staying out there a little bit more often, getting a little bit better conditioning. But I just think at the end of the day, they don't have the horses or I guess the dogs to keep up with the Bulldogs this week. I have no idea what the score is going to be honest with you. I think it's all just going to depend on how Wilson chooses to answer back. But I got the Alden Bulldogs in this one as well.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the Western New York Football Report here live from Alden. Game starts at 7. Come down here and check it out.